Hi friends, I'm back again with this fun, spooky little journal. This is my Coffin journal, and I thought it would be really cute to make a junk journal shaped as a coffin. So what I do is I grab covers from books that are recycled. The paper in the books are recycled, and at our library, this is what they do. If the books are too old, they get rid of them. They try to sell them, and if they don't get sold, they get ripped apart. The paper part goes into the recycling bin, and these part get tossed. So I am rescuing these from getting tossed. I've gotten in trouble for people thinking that I'm tearing books apart. I'm not. So this is me rescuing part of this book. So what I'm doing is doing a few different lines and seeing what shape and what size I want the coffin to be. I love doing these funky little junk journals and different shapes and that kind of thing. I think they're really cute. So here I am getting ready to cut away the shape. As you can see, I have different lines there, and I'm like, which one do I like better? I wanted a little thicker. It kind of turned out to be a little bit of a wonky shape, but I loved it anyway. So here is my front cover. So I'm just going to tear the inside out here. There was a little bit left over paper, and then I just use the other side to trace the other side of my coffin. And then I cut that side out too, so it works really well as a tracer, the front cover. I'm going to save these because these are nice good pieces of chipboard type of thing for any other little builds or anything like that I have. So I'm going to save these big, they're pretty big pieces for any kind of little miniatures or anything that I need. Now my plan is to cover the inside with this scrapbooking paper, and I'm just tracing out the shape, and then I glue that in. So that's what I'm going to do. There's probably different things you can do, but I thought this was the easiest. So I'm just cutting this away. I speed this up a little bit here because it's something we all know how to do. And then I get it in there and I kind of burnish it, the shape in there. So then I get that the spine in there a little bit. I don't want the paper to kind of pull or tug when I glue it down. And here I'm just using regular glue. My glue's been sitting a while, so it's pretty thick. So yeah, it works pretty good. I was gonna use regular school glue, which is a little bit more runny, but I decided to use something thick because then it dries nice and tacky, I think. And here I'm just using the cardboard just to kind of, I decided to decorate the outside before I added any signatures or anything, so I'm just using that to have it so that's kind of a flat surface that I'm working with. That way I'm not working at an angle. When I'm putting my little boards across and stuff like that, I want to know if I'm able to open my book properly and all that kind of thing. So I thought it would be nice just to kind of fill the inside with some scrap cardboard. So I cut the paper, but I didn't have that on video. But what I'm doing now is just sanding my edges out so that my paper just meets nicely and looks smooth against the cardboard that's of the book board type of thing. So I'm just going in one direction so I don't catch my paper on the edge to smooth out my edge. So then when I do put some paint on it, it's all nice and smooth. And I do it on both sides, but I don't do right across, I just do it at an angle, so then I don't lift the paper on the other side that I've glued. So this is a file, excuse me, this file is a glass file that I use lots in my modeling and that kind of thing, so I have it nearby, and I just picked it up on Amazon and it works really well. You have to dust it off every once in a while because inside the grooves it kind of piles up the plastic or anything you're filing, but so far I've been using this for a long time and it's a great file. So this is the part that I was inspired to do. When I dumped all these little pieces of cardboard on my desk, I was like, I gotta use these up. I've had them for over a year. And this is what inspired me to do a journal, junk journal like this. It's because it reminded me of little 2x4s. These were originally cut for Haunted House last year or the year before, and I've had them that long, just little pieces from different build clubs I had and groups that I've had, because I cut the pieces out for people so they don't get tired. And this was my leftovers. I tried to use wet glue and hot glue, and I was like, it wasn't quite working. So what I decided to end up doing was just using the thick wet glue. Anyways, it was pretty thick and tacky. And then in any crevices or anything that was loose, I just threw in a little bit of hot glue. I wanted to make sure everything stuck, and because it's all uneven, that's why I kind of threw in some extra hot glue in little crevices and that kind of thing. I don't want no glue showing, but I want everything to kind of stay together. And I think it looks so cute. Looks like little old boards across a coffin, sealing it up. So here I'm just cutting off my edges with my scissors. And I really liked, this is I think it must be the first time I believe that I've done such a big, where I decorated the outside before I filled in with pages and that kind of thing. I mean, usually I don't decorate without adding the signatures and all that kind of stuff. Usually I have everything added before I decorate the outside, but like I said, I kind of wanted to work on the outside for the first time here, and then add the papers after at the end. So here I'm just adding my black Americana paint. I actually added a little bit of chocolate brown, I believe it is, dark chocolate, and mix that together. So I have like a very dark, chocolatey, dark, nice paint. And I do in the crevices, and I do the edges of the cardboard and the edges of the book board. And yeah, I really like the way it turned out. Even though you can kind of tell that it's still cardboard, you know, when you first look at it, you don't really even see that. You have to really examine it to see, oh, that's made with cardboard. And I would have made it with tongue depressors or something like that if I had them, because I was inspired by the cardboard pieces, but I would have maybe used tongue depressors because it would have been just a little bit better. But I did search for them and I couldn't find them, so this is what I had. So another idea would be to use tongue depressors, look a little bit more professional or whatever. And I can see this being a really fun kid one too. You could put some googly eyes on it, and glue some back pieces like shapes and that kind of thing, or pumpkin shapes. But I wanted to go for a little bit more of a natural look with mine, and I was using my stash, so that's another thing, using up my stash. And I did have this cardboard forever, so I wasn't too heartbroken that I couldn't find tongue depressors. And but if I ever were to make this as a for somebody else, or to gift or something, then to make it a better quality, a tongue depressor would be the way to go, just to make it look a little bit more sharp. But I think for me, this with the cardboard, I need more coffee here. With the cardboard, I think it looked great. Now I'm just dabbing a little bit whatever I didn't dry off with my heat tool, but now I'm just adding, if there's a little bit of moisture on there, I'm adding the color of brown sugar and the color of buttermilk a little bit across there in Americana paint. And I decided not to go with gray. I just was gonna, but then I decided not to. But with a little bit of moisture in the black, and the buttermilk is making a bit of gray in there anyways, so it worked out really nice. And I just wanted to highlight the boards and kind of go crazy with it and get them looking more like popping out. They were popping out. And I really like the way it looks. I think it's pretty cool. So there I got, you know, that white that you can see there, that's that buttercream. It doesn't show really white, but you can see in the bottom of the palette there that that's that buttercream. Adding a little bit more dark just to see if I want it more dark in the background, and kind of playing back and forth and seeing what kind of look I want. And I was looking for my skeleton to add little pieces of bones kind of popping out. I had a dollar store skeleton lying around somewhere, and it's buried somewhere, but I couldn't find them, and I decided that instead of, I was going to make one, but just to do with what scraps I had here and what I had in my stash, instead of just making one, I just went with the flow of a more natural look. Now this is the fun part. Right after I'm getting this done here, so you can see how it kind of leans, and I want to work on it with the cardboard in there, the sandwich in there, so it's like flat. But this part, I found some Leica type of stuff, like dried moss, and here's some burlap strings I've had to the side from other little miniature things, and I thought I can add that. And I used my hot glue gun to adhere these things, and I was a little concerned about these more natural things kind of on a journal being handled, so I did seal them in pretty good, I think. So I'm just sticking them in little crevices, and maybe it looks like old grass or something, I don't know, but I like the way it looks. It just adds something to it, some oldness, or like it was stored in the crepe. I don't know the word. I'm trying to see how I think. Anyways, and things and vines and grass chunks and stuff falling on it. And yeah, it looks pretty cool. And then, like I said, I added I was going to put a little piece of stick. I'm like, nah, it didn't suit it. And here's a little bit of this really neat looking moss. I'm adding that in there, and just a little bit, enough to make it age, like as if it was in in a some kind of crepe type of thing. I can't think if that's the exact way you say it, but not particularly berry coffin, but anyway. And then I add I add a few other things. What do I add? I had a leaf puncher, and I do use that to make a few leaves, to make it go like you can see the size of it, that kind of a thing. And trimming that up. I love this stuff. I don't know. I had it buried in a box. I'm like, oh, look at this. I have this. I also use some brighter green moss, which I think I pull out here in a second, and really like that. That's the one here. I have purple. I bought these at Walmart, really cheap. I have a purple and a dark green, and I thought there's a little bit of a brighter highlight of a green would brighten things up. So I add some glue, sprinkled some of that on there in places. I really love the way it looks. And this is where I'm cutting out those leaves. I got this little punch, and I used that brown paper I used on the inside. Brown one side's got green, and I used my little ball tool on cardboard, nothing fancy. I could have grabbed my sponge whatever thing, but I just kind of rounded off my leaf just enough, added a little bit of glue. Ooh, blurry spot, sorry guys. And threw a little pile of leaves in the corner there, and then and another spot. To make it give it a size thing, you know, like have something comparative to see the size. And I thought that was cute, just to do a handful of those, grabbing my tweezers, throwing them on there. Here's a bit of an up closer look. I don't know how good you can see it. And pulling some of my glue strings. And that is it. Just a couple little piles of leaves on there. And then I found this chain when I was digging around for that skeleton, and I'm like, that's a good way to close it. Just wrap it a few times. I was going to add a button or something, and I'm like, that's not going to match. So I just thought, if I make it long enough, wrap it a few times, that's good enough. So I just kind of adhere it to the spine. I add a little grass to blend in the glue, because I didn't really want to deal with waiting for some other kind of glue that would hide, like disappear, like white glue or whatever. Blended that in, and then it looks great. So I have like where I wrap it around the top a few times and wrap it around the bottom a bit, and I think it looks super cool and spooky. Pull out my pliers here and I'm gonna cut that up, but yeah, I thought that was super cute. 1, 2, so yeah, I just do it like where I'm like, okay, I want to wrap it a few times. When you fill up the signatures in there, it's gonna give it a little bit of depth, and you can just wrap it up. There's so many different cool little ways to close journals, and I thought this is easy enough. I don't really want a ribbon on it or anything. So this is decoupage, that's outdoor decoupage stuff, and I thought this would be perhaps a better strength of protection. So I use this because outdoor, for painting pots or something outdoor and being weathered. So I thought for sure this is going to be a better protection for my mosses and all that kind of stuff, and it turned out pretty good. I'm not going to leave my journal outside, but I really wanted to protect it really well, so I put a good thick layer on there, and that is, I think, worked really well. And it dries clear. So I'm putting it pretty thick. And yeah, I tried to clear, and I made sure I got all my string and all my little moss pieces. Now for the inside here, I made a pattern to make some pages, and I'm not going to go into how I put them in. I'm just showing you that I made a pattern and made a bunch of pages for signatures for the inside. But for any shape that you do, you can make any kind of shape, and I use the cover for a beginner pattern, and I went a little bit smaller in my pages because you don't want the edges to stick out. You can puncture and sew them in. I just glued them in because that's what I like to do, but that's just the way I do it. So now I'm using my pattern that I've made, and just cutting a bunch of different papers. Here I had a bunch of these papers from my stash that I haven't used, and yeah, I used a book paper, I used a coloring page, and a few other things, a shiny page there I think you've seen. So I'm just showing you that it's easy enough to make your pattern to make some pages. Then this is the morning after, now that the glue's all dry, and I'm just showing you guys how the chain wraps around. It's nice. The paper is dry in there. I did paint my edges on my front cover and front page, and my back cover and my back page, and that was it. And I can add more signatures by gluing them in inside the 5 or 6 signatures I have, and I think it turned out really great, and I love it. Thanks guys. I hope you enjoyed this project, and give it a try and let me know what you think. It's a cute little junk journal. And here's some pictures of it, and I hope you enjoyed this project. Thanks for watching everyone. Bye for now.